Welcome back to the Hockey Show, and we are talking about the first round of the NHL entry draft, and it was so cool to finally see it happen, to see Kyle Davidson, the GM of the Blackhawks, after his funny interview on the streets of Nashville where they didn't know it was him. If you haven't seen it, go watch that, where he finally walks up on the stage, suit all looking good, steps up to the microphone and says, "Congratulations, Golden Knights, congratulations, David Poile, yada yada, whatever," shake Gary Bettman's hand, Gary Bettman gets booed, all of that stuff to finally get to the point for him to say, "We are very proud as the Chicago Blackhawks to draft Connor Bedard," and he finally gets up. You can tell he was just waiting for the seconds to pass by for him to finally get it over and done with. Bedard gets up. It was so cool to see, and there's not much to talk about Connor Bedard. The guy sets new records. He is the destined amazing player that he is. I mean, he breaks records, he sets new ones. That's just what he does at the junior level. If there was ever a solidified, like, proven going to be star, it's this guy. This is the type of player that is not going to be a bust. This is not like an Alexis Lafreniere where it's like, well, he's only getting 40 points. No, this guy is breaking records by legends. NHL Hall of Famers is what he's breaking. And this guy, just absolute star. I want to mention, though, it was fun because they had him on the panel a little bit later on when Braden Yeager got drafted, and it was really funny. He was, I think he was a game against him, and he said he called out his own bad back check. That was really funny. The guy seems really likable. I hope the NHL kind of pushes him more into the spotlight to be kind of more of a name, and because I like the kid. The kid's cool, and I think the NHL should try to push the more personalities out there for all hockey players, but especially this young guy for the new generation of hockey, because, I mean, he is the next great thing to Connor McDavid. So very cool to see the moment finally happen. Next up is where things get interesting. At second overall, we got Leo Carlsson. Mind blown. Did not see this coming. Leo Carlsson, I thought, would be a great fit for the Columbus Blue Jackets at number 3 because Fantilli was definitely the number 2 pick. But no, it did not happen. And I was so surprised at first. But then I thought about it, and I was like, you know what? This actually makes sense. Because I was saying in my Anaheim Ducks video, I was thinking to myself, like, yeah, Fantilli's great, and they're going to draft him, but they're going to have a clog of kind of centers of Zegras, McTavish, and then Fantilli. And I was like, that is a real mix there. Like, 3, like, really, like more skilled players than physical or defensives or something. Like, there's going to be a lot of meshing. Like, not a lot of gray area. Like, it's not black or white. It's all white or black, whatever. You get what I'm trying to say. All kind of the similar player. But then Leo Carlsson's who they drafted. I think this is genius. They've already got Mason McTavish, and he's kind of like a hard-nosed energy, kind of like, he's a skilled energy, like in-your-face type player, fighter. Like, that's who McTavish is. Zegras, we all know who Zegras is. Super skilled. That's just the best way to put it. Just super skilled, talented player. And with Leo Carlsson, they're getting that two-way 6'3 centerman who can play that defensive game while jumping up on the offense. I think it's a genius move. Good size and good defense, two-way centerman that they don't have, that they would have gotten in Fantilli. And really, I think it's all great overall because I think it's going to be a better mixing for Carlsson to have not be in the spotlight, and it can go to Zegras instead of Fantilli and Zegras eventually fighting for that number 1 spot. And I think it's even better because now Fantilli goes number 3 overall. I'm sure he and Columbus Blue Jackets are very happy to be able to draft Adam Fantilli because he apparently said in a few months ago in May that he wanted to go to the Blue Jackets because he played in Michigan and he likes Ohio, I guess, because of the rivalry, something like that. I'm not entirely sure what's he meant by that, but I think this is really cool. He gets to go to the team that he wanted to go to, and I think it's a perfect fit already. Not just because he's a great player or something, but Columbus needs a good centerman, right? All teams, that's like one of the bare essential things. You need a solid defenseman and a solid centerman. Those are like two things, and then like wingers and stuff comes from there. But you need the one good defenseman. Take a look at, say, the Colorado Avalanche. You have that main guy, Cale Makar, on defense, and then you got Nathan MacKinnon as that centerman, right? That just amazing player on both ends there. Take a look at Vegas. You got Jack Eichel, that main centerman, and then on defense this season was Pietrangelo, you know? So that's what teams need, and the Columbus Blue Jackets have none of that. They have no solid centerman. They finally get one in Adam Fantilli. From the way he played with Hobey, the way he won that Hobey Baker, and just I definitely think he'll fit in. He's got the size to be able to jump in the lineup and play good hockey, and I think he might fit in right away, especially a team like Columbus who really needs that. I'm sure he's going to college anyways next year, so I don't even know what I meant by that. He's not going to be able to play next season. But I think in the next season, in 2 years, Columbus is going to be a real threat. I think this year they're going to definitely jump up from being that terrible team this year. I think maybe they jump up to maybe like just outside the playoffs, looking in maybe around like the 20 spot. And then with Fantilli jumping in next season, I think that's going to perfectly put a bow on top of everything. Fantilli between Gaudreau and whoever that guy, and like Cole Sillinger, or whoever ends up being that really star player on the Columbus Blue Jackets, perfect bow right there. Number 4 goes to Will Smith, coming out to Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. The San Jose Sharks draft this kid, and this, I think, seems like a slam dunk. I think the top 3 picks, all perfect, but then Will Smith, I think, perfectly fits in with the San Jose Sharks. The kid's a star. You can tell he's got the confidence because he literally sang the song on television after, right in the hot spot there. That was kind of mean by Emily Kaplan. Can't believe she did that. And then, but other than that, the kid's got a 2.12 points per game, which is absolutely huge. 127 points, which is tied for, he's second most ever for the U.S. developmental team in points. And the only person above him is the guy drafted later on in the draft, Gabriel Perreault. And, I mean, this kid's absolutely huge. I think he's a star, slam dunk here for the Sharks. I think he's going to have the absolute perfect attitude for a team that needs kind of that star. They already drafted William Eklund. I think Will Smith is going to be, Eklund's going to be that kind of good, like, two-way centerman, but Will Smith's going to be like that star. He's going to be that star guy that you put on the ice. He's going to make some cool dangles, have an amazing shot. I love it. Kids breaking records by Austin Matthews. I mean, when you're breaking Austin Matthews records, you know you got a real deal there. Then we got number 5, and this is where things really do get interesting, because the top 4 always feel like that this was going to be the top 4. Smith, Fantilli, Carlson, Bedard. After that's where the Wild West comes in. Number 5, you've got David Reinbacher. I know the guy's name. That was hilarious by Carey Price. And this guy, I think it's a smart choice by the Canadians. They definitely have a lot of offense that they have already in Caulfield and Suzuki and a lot more other pieces that are coming up. So they got a lot of good offensive guys. But defensively, they don't really have any young prospects. Same things go for the next team up is the Coyotes. A lot of young, solid forwards, but not really any defensemen. So good pick here in Reinbacher. But I will say, he didn't look too excited. I don't know, maybe that's just kind of who he is, but he looked kind of like, he looked kind of just out of it. He just was like, I don't know if he was, like, disappointed that he got drafted by the Canadians, or his moment was ruined by Carey Price. I don't know, or maybe it was weird, and just kind of strange to see it happen. So Reinbacher, great pickup by the Canadians. I think he's going to be a good defenseman there. And yeah, great pick there. Smart pick too. Then the Coyotes come up and they do their usual weird off the board pick. But I do think it's actually a very smart choice here. At number 6, they draft Simashev. And I really like this pick. Dmitry Simashev, at first I was like, whoa, what? That's not who was supposed to go next. They could have gotten Mishkov. They could have gotten, like, Ryan Leonard. They could have got Gabriel Perreault. But no, they go with Simashev, which makes sense. They definitely need, like the Coyotes, like I said already, kind of have a lot of young forwards. And getting Simishev being that 6'4" smart defenseman, and he's a puck-moving defenseman. And it reminds me, like, that good size. They need a puck-moving defenseman back there. I mean, Huso Valimaki's okay, but not like a puck mover. Moser, same kind of thing, not really an offensive defenseman. And they need that guy. And here he is right here, Simishev, big, solid defenseman who can skate the puck up the ice. And no one's going to knock him off of it as he's 6'4". I think he's going to be a perfect centerpiece to really join that Coyotes roster. And especially with their other pick that's coming up at number 12, I really like what they're doing. I like what the Coyotes have done. And I'm not usually a person to say that. I know I've got a banner thing up there that might be like, oh, you're just a fan. Listen, I hate the Coyotes and what they do. They're idiots a lot. But I really liked what they did this draft. This draft, the two guys that they drafted, they might have been out of line, but I really think they were smart pickups. And they went with Russians too, but I'll get back to that afterwards. Next up, another Russian though, Mishkov, the guy that people were saying is basically Connor Bedard but Russian. And the issue is, of course, not being able to be there to help him develop with him being in Russia and his 3-year deal, but really, they got a star. The Philadelphia Flyers, they landed a star, and I think it's actually I think it's the perfect fit, though. I think with teams like Columbus are closer to being good than later, so if they drafted Mishkov and waiting those 3 years, well, really 4 years, because you got to wait the entire 3, and then in the 4th year get him, that it'd be kind of too late to really use him, if you kind of get what I'm saying. Same thing for the Sharks. I think they're kind of rebuilding and could have used like that 4 years to get him, but I think they would have rather have liked to have a guy on the team like Smith and start using him. But I think the Flyers are definitely in a long, dark period right now. They're in the dark ages right now, and I think waiting those 3 years to really get that bona fide superstar at the end of the tunnel is going to actually perfectly work out for this team. And just perfect fit. It's just the bad issue is that they gotta wait. That's all. The only downside is they have to wait a few years to get him. Next is Ryan Leonard going to the Washington Capitals. Now, I think this is the perfect fit pick. Another, like, kind of match made in heaven. A lot of these teams, I gotta say, like, perfect matches, I feel like. Ryan Leonard, he's that gritty, like, fight for his position, fighter-type player, in your face, like, just going for it. I know they said that they were comparing the Tom Wilson, but he doesn't have the size of Wilson. I think the comparison is way better of, like, Matthew Tkachuk, where he's in your face. He's not gonna, like, knock out one of your guys, but he's gonna make the other team angry. He's gonna be in your face, grindy, perfect playoff player for the Capitals, and especially for the future with their team winning the AHL championship, some of those guys making the jump up to the NHL in a few years, Ryan Leonard joining the team. I think they might be back in playoff contention, and guys like Leonard, I'm pretty sure he was the one that scored the gold medal goal for Team USA, so he's the playoff guy, and I think it's a perfect fit. Perfect fit for a guy, especially as Tom Wilson's going to be aging out of the league eventually. He will take over his place. And I know that's kind of maddening to say, aging out of the league. It's kind of depressing sounding. But all I mean is Wilson's on his way out soon enough. Leonard will take his spot. Perfect replacement there. Then we've got Danielson, Nate Danielson for the Detroit Red Wings. And this is one that people are kind of surprised by. Me too. I was like, this is kind of one of those picks where I see like a reach kind of like with the Coyotes and Simishev and some of the ones later on in the draft. I'm like, I don't know, like, he's good, and he's a higher pick, but I feel like there's, like, a lot of names, I'm pointing at my board that's on the ground over there, there's a lot of names, like, I would be, like, more interested in than Danielson. Like, he's a good, solid two-way centerman, which is good for the Red Wings. They definitely don't have enough of those, but especially, like, for this, like, by the time he'll be ready for the NHL, but I look at the board over there, and I see guys like Benson and Yeager and Dvorsky still ready to go, and it's like, you don't grab, like, a guy like maybe Perreault? No, and I just think it's a kind of a strange pick. I mean, he's a solid two-way centerman he's one of those guys that will probably land it in the NHL, but he's not going to be someone that breaks the lid off of anyone. He's not going to win you the Stanley Cup on his own prerogative or anything like that. He's just going to be one of those solid up to, like, second-line centers that are good, but isn't going to change, like, everything about your team. So, an interesting pick there. But next up is number 10. And at number 10, we've got the St. Louis Blues, and I think that this is once again another good pickup here for a team. Dvorsky, I think, is it Davor, something like that? Dvorsky. Good centerman, all-around type of guy, led Slovakia, and we know how good Slovakia has been over the last couple of years. Last year with Slavkovsky and Nemec, and wasn't there another one? There was another good Slovakian, but now I can't remember his name, and now I look like an idiot. But this guy, Dvorsky, by all the rules they played, and I gotta say, I'm not like I'm not an expert at these rookies. I'm just taking off what I'm looking at, some of my research, and from what I've seen, this guy Dvorsky, he looks like a really solid player. Like he's good offensively, good defensively. Dvorsky, I think he's going to be one of these guys that does make a difference for the Blues. Because with them trying to rebuild, they're bringing guys like Kevin Hayes, and now they're really centering around Kyrou and Robert Thomas. That I think in a couple years, when Dvorsky can make this team and kind of bring his offensive edge to this team in his hands and his nice shot, I think it's going to be a nice pickup there, a nice move, a nice just good guy to really bring in the next era of the St. Louis Blues and hopefully their contention in a few years. So I think it's a good start to the Blues rebuild. Next, we've got the Vancouver Canucks. Now, the Vancouver Canucks, they got Tom Willander. Now, Willander, this guy, smart defenseman, he's one of the better guys, and to me, this guy's kind of speaking to me as if he's one of those top four defensemen on a team that he's going to be a solid guy, solid defenseman, smart, he's strong skating, but he's not going to be like, once again, same thing. He's not going to be he's going to remind me of like Alec Martinez. I think they kind of compared him to him on the broadcast, but to me, Alec Martinez, he's one of those defensemen who's in the top four no matter what team he's going to be on. I know he's only been on 2, but he's a top 4 guy who jumps up, will get a good shot on net, get a one-timer, get in there, but just plays good defense, solid defenseman that's going to jump up, get some points on the game, but he's not going to be like the game changer. He's not the number 1 defenseman. He's the second pairing defenseman he's like the Sergachev, like he's not the star defenseman. He's the second guy on the second pairing. So a good pickup there. And one thing is that if you haven't noticed, if you haven't heard, is that so he flew in from Stockholm to New Jersey, where he found out in New Jersey that his connecting flight to Nashville had been canceled. So his family, who's from Sweden, Swedish family, drove the 11-hour trip from New Jersey to Nashville. And I know like 11 hours isn't really that crazy of a road trip, but it's kind of crazy when you land from your home country in the big country of America and have to drive across country, well, sort of across country, across states to get to Nashville, Tennessee, and for like the first time on like any sort of road trip like that. Like that's got to be absolutely nuts. And then they had to buy a suit in the morning, so they lost their luggage. So kind of crazy. So Willander, that's this horrible. It must suck for that moment, but it must be really cool because you got there. It's kind of like a movie, like National Lampoon's Vacation type scenario there. But anyways, kind of cool for Willander, that story. But overall, good pickup there by the Vancouver Canucks. Next, at number 12 is Daniil But from Russia. The Coyotes have drafted their second Russian, and once again, I think this is a genius move. Left wing, 6'5", kind of reaching up from the draft, but I think this is smart. 203 pounds. A lot of the teams were avoiding the Russians because they couldn't really get a good scouting on them, but I gotta say, from what they were showing us, the guy's got great hands, he's got a great shot, and I just think back to guys like Tage Thompson and Alex Tuch. They were comparing him to Alex Tuch, but I like it more like Tage Thompson. 6'5", 203 pounds. I'm sure he'll get a little bit more in shape when he gets to the NHL level, and he looked very happy. I gotta say, the 2 guys that the Coyotes did draft, they looked very happy. I gotta say, Mishkov as well. The Russian guys all looked really happy when they were drafted. I'm just gonna throw out there. And But, I just think like a perfect guy for the Coyotes because offensively they got guys like Gunther and Josh Stone coming up eventually, Geeky. Like they've got a lot of like interesting sized guys, a lot of smaller ones. They still have Clayton Keller who's going to be around for a while regardless if they're in Arizona or not. And Daniil But eventually being like up there like he's gonna be that big guy. That big guy. They're gonna feed some of the smaller ones, and then he's got that big guy who's got the hands, the nice skating, the smoothness to get that amazing shot off. So I like it. The pickup for the Coyotes, the two Russians. Next, we've got the Buffalo Sabres, Zach Benson. Now, this guy is an engine. Just looking at the clips that they showed us, the guy, he looked excited when he was drafted, but not just that, he's an engine. He's an absolute workhorse. He's an energy guy who that every team can work for. Amazing forecheck. When he loses the puck, he's fighting for it because that's what energy guys do. They lose the puck, they're like, no way. Get the stick in there, get a little physicality, fight for it, right? He's a fighter. He's gonna play hard. He's ultra competitive, and he's also friends with the other Sabres, one of their top prospects, in Matthew Savoie. I know they call him Savoy on the broadcast. I'm pretty sure it's Savoie, but maybe it's Savoy. I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's Savoie. And those two guys, they're line mates, they're best friends, so perfect for those two guys to eventually come up here. And people are saying they're smaller, but with the Buffalo Sabres being in contention right now with Alex Tuch and Tage Thompson and Dylan Cousins, they got some big guys on the team. So to mix in some of these smaller guys, 5'9" in Savoie and 10 or 11 with Benson here is just perfect because they got the big guys already. Now surround them by some smaller ones. Amazing there. So pick up amazing by the Buffalo Sabres. Pittsburgh Penguins, Brayden Yager at 14th overall. This guy, all the clips that I saw of this guy and all my research, basically at the end of the day, this guy is a great shot. Great right-handed shot, and if he can be NHL ready sooner than later, and he can play a little bit with Sidney Crosby or Evgeny Malkin and be their winger on the right side, the guy's got an amazing shot. He can seem to hit any accuracy at any point. If he sees an opening, he's going to be able to hit it. And I know all the other things that scouts say, like, oh, great straight line skating and great whatever. But from what I see and what everyone's main point about him is an amazing shot. The guy's got good he scores goals, and he's an amazing goal scorer. Accuracy, out of this world. So Yager, good pickup by Dubas for his first pickup for the Penguins. Next is Nashville, the home team. They got a big cheer, and I think they did get a slam dunk here. 6'4" Matthew Wood. Now, I will say, I'm getting mixed opinions about the sizes of some of these players because some websites and some things I'd see says they were 6'4". Some of them would say they're 6'3". So I'm going off of what the NHL actually said on the screen, and they said that he was 6'4". So 6'4", he's got the size, he's smart, he's got the hands, he's got the shot, he's got the positioning down. This is kind of that all-around type of player, and he also likes Evgeny Malkin. That was the number one thing. They asked him about it. He likes Malkin. It said on the screen his favorite player is Evgeny Malkin. I think this guy is a happy type of player, and he's going to fit in well with Nashville with the energy of that building and just kind of his size. I think he's one of those all-around great players. He's going to be one of those guys that is going to be that first-line player where he's getting up in, like, these high points, but he's not going to be, like, he's not going to lead the league in points by any means. He's not going to be the number one on the team. I think he's the type of guy that's, like, the secondary. He's not going to be the star, but he's, like, the other reasons. Like, man, this team's got McDavid and this guy and this guy. That's kind of how I see Matthew Wood. It's like they've got this guy and Matthew Wood. So, good pickup for the Nashville Predators. 16th overall, Samuel Honzek. Now, this is another one where I'm getting mixed opinions on the sizes of the players. 6'3" is what the NHL said he was. And this guy, apparently he's a bit of a gamble. They're not entirely sure what his ceiling is. Some people say that he could be great. Some guys saying that he could just be a simple bottom six, middle six type player. And overall, I think he's going to make it into the NHL one day. But one thing that I want to note about him is that he likes Legos and shopping. That's what it said he was, and I just thought that was really cool. So Honzek, I hope he is amazing because he likes Legos and shopping. So good guy. And then 17th overall, the Detroit Red Wings get their other pick, second one of the day, and that is something Palika. The guy's got a crazy name, cool name, and I think this is actually, once again, another really good pickup by Stevie Y. I know I called you an idiot earlier this year for your Hronek trade, and I still think that was stupid, but this is another pickup that I really like. I mean, this guy apparently is potentially the very best skilled defenseman in this entire draft. And from the clips they showed of him, this guy does look like he's got it all. Maybe not the size, maybe not the defensive talent, but with what Detroit already has in Moritz Seider and Simon Edvinsson and some of the other guys that they've got already in the lineup, and with this guy coming up the wings too now, I think the Red Wings defense is definitely being built for the ages, and only with the addition of Pellikka being that offensive guy on it, I think is super smart. Having him eventually pair with Seider or Edvinsson being like the defense, well, I mean, Edvinsson's offensive too, but that defensive core is gonna be amazing for the Red Wings. And 18th, we've got the Winnipeg Jets, and we've got Barlow, Colby Barlow. And I believe he's from the Moose Jaw Warriors, which is the best name in the world. If he's not, then whoever is on the Moose Jaw Warriors, best name in the world. And this guy, he's a power forward, and he's not going to be the star. He's, once again, another deal like Matthew Wood, where he's not the star, but he's like the secondary guy. He's the guy that you pair. He's like the Jake Gensel. He's the Alex DeBrincat, right? Where they work off of Sidney Crosby or Patrick Kane. If he can fit on, I mean, I don't know who the hell, by the time he's NHL ready, who the Jets are going to have anymore. But if he's there with, like, Kyle Connor, or whoever their new centerman is, Cole Perfetti eventually, I think is going to be a nice pairing for those guys there. So next up, we've got the 19th pick. And at number 19, we've got Oliver Moore for the Chicago Blackhawks. And this is another team that I gotta say, I love. I think the teams that made out best in this draft, there's a few of them. I gotta say, there's a very few, especially considering what has happened in the second day of the drafts, like the Flyers and the Chicago Blackhawks especially. I think the winners of this whole draft, I think are overall, I mean, not just like guys like Columbus getting Fantilli and Leo Carlsson to the Ducks, but just how well some teams have drafted some players. I gotta say, Chicago getting Oliver Moore in the first round, absolutely huge. Him and Bedard. One thing that's absolutely for sure when it comes to Oliver Moore is that he is the very best skater of this entire draft class. And the clips they were showing of him, this guy moves like an absolute this guy is a drag racer and everyone else is like a NASCAR driver. Like, sure, they're fast, but this guy is unbelievable. And that might be an absolutely ridiculous comparison, but just forget about it. This guy's very fast, amazing skater, and I can't wait to see what this guy with Moore and Connor Bedard in the future. They talk to Moore. They compare his speed, and not his overall skill and everything put together, but they compare his speed to that of Connor McDavid. Like, his testing levels are on Connor McDavid's levels. So, absolutely huge. Connor Bedard, and Oliver Moore for the Blackhawks, huge. Absolutely huge, and I like the moves that they did today in the second round. So, great draft for the Chicago Blackhawks. Great pickup in Moore. Just amazing. Absolutely amazing. And he's funny. They talked to him afterwards. I like the guy. He was very funny. So, Oliver Moore, likable person. Good job, Blackhawks. Next up is Edward Chalet for the Seattle Kraken. Now, this is a cool pickup. This is one that I'm kind of surprised actually went to 20, because this guy, amazing offense, and he needs the spotlight. And that can be hard for some of the young developing players, that some of them need to be in that number one position. And some players just work like that. Take a guy like William Karlsson, like when he first got drafted by the Golden Knights. Like, some guys need to be given that number one spot, be given that number one opportunity to be the guy. Some guys just don't work at certain levels. Some guys don't work being a second liner. Some guys don't work being a third liner. Don't take that opportunity. Some guys need the platform to be the main stage, the spotlight on him, and this guy Chalet's going to need that. He likes the spotlight. If he's going to be given a role on the team, like the Kraken bring him up, and they really do need a great offensive forward, right? I mean, Beniers is great, Shane Wright is great. Eventually, those two will develop into those type of guys, but Chalet's another one that could be amazingly skilled offensively, but he needs that opportunity to be the number one guy. Absolutely. And his interview was absolutely hilarious. The guy was like, they were asking questions, and he just was like, yeah. He's like, his interview, there were some of them I'm going to talk about here in a second. Absolutely amazing interviews, some of these guys. and just amazing. Next up is, good pick by the Kraken. I think he's going to definitely fit in with the Kraken, and in the few years to come when Beniers is the established centerman there, as well as Shane Wright, for Chalet to fit in on those top two lines, or that first one with Matty Beniers, and Beniers can feed him the puck, and Chalet can just just make an amazing windmill move, grip the far side off the post and in. I think will be huge. So pick up great by the Kraken. Minnesota Wild picking up Stramel. Now this guy's got a cool name, I just got to say. Second liner finisher is, I think, the best way to put this guy. Some guys, some NHL players, just think of your favorite team. And some of them, the playmakers, right? Some playmakers are able to skate with the puck, make the gap pass, right? Be that activating player, get the puck down the ice into the offensive zone, make a move, get it to another guy. That other guy being the finisher is absolutely huge. And this guy, Stramel, is that person. This guy, absolutely huge, 6'3", 222 pounds. I think he's the heaviest player of the entire draft that I've seen, at least up to this point. 222, 6'3". This guy's finishing shots. He's laying into them. Heavy shots. Great stuff right there. And he's tough and in the playoffs. I mean, the size comes to his advantage, being that tough player and that playoff mentality. I think is going to be perfect for a team like Minnesota, who really needs that type of stuff when it comes to the playoffs. The toughness, that grittiness, they definitely have that now. Keeping that attitude with these young guys like Stramel, and if he can be that playoff performer that they really need at this point. Next up is the Philadelphia Flyers with Bonk. What an amazing name. His father, Radek Bonk, getting drafted here to Philadelphia. Another really good team. Now, Mishkov and Bonk and some of the other picks that they got later on further down the draft. I really like this move. Good D-man and can join on the offense, which I think is huge. They don't really have anyone like that really at this point on the team. So going forward, I really like that move. Picking up a guy who can jump up and play that offense, move the puck down the ice, I think is perfect. So perfect move, perfect grab by the Flyers. Once again, another perfect, just plug that they needed. So good one there. Interesting note. So New Jersey, they had Lindsey Ruff talking on, they had a little bit of an interview with him, and he said she asked him questions when it comes to, are they done making moves, and when are they done, are they happy with Vanacek and Schmid, and he said that we're always looking to better the team. And that obviously hints hey, he's not done. I think he's going to make another move for a depth forward. And goaltending, we know that's an issue for them. Maybe he goes out there for Connor Hellebuyck and really solidifies that team, which I don't know if Hellebuyck would be the best move for them. I think the Devils could really use more of a long-term goaltender than a short-term guy for a year. Sure, he could re-sign, but then you have to get him re-signed. So for me, it's I don't, if they could keep Hellebuyck for longer, absolute yes. Absolutely huge if they could do that. I mean, with the offense and defense they have a good goalie in net for 5 years to come. This team's a dynasty in the making, but unless they can get that guy, I'm not really entirely sure if Hellebuyck would be the answer, but interesting that he did note that he's always looking to make the team better. And then next up is the New York Rangers. Now, this is a surprising one that fell all the way from the top. This guy, now setting the most points for the U.S. development team. Sure, he had a lot of help around him, but this guy leading in the points, breaking Matthews' record, breaking Hughes' assists record, and now Gabriel Perreault goes to the Rangers. I mean, if this guy can bring that type of offensive talent, he's smart, and I don't understand why he went so high or low, depending on how you think of the draft. This guy dropping all the way to 23, I can't even believe. A team, I can't believe, a team, I mean, Chicago did well with Oliver Moore, but Perreault and Connor Bedard, I don't know how they pass up that. Maybe the guy's got an attitude problem. I have no idea. But to me, this is an absolute drop by some of these teams that they could have picked up Gabriel Perreault. And now the Rangers being fortunate to pick him up. I can't believe it. And this guy, super smart player. And he just... I just can't believe that he's dropped this low. Absolute stunned. So, great pickup by the Rangers. Next up, the Nashville Predators with another goaltender, another old goalie coming up to the microphone. It was cool they had him on the stage outside with the fans. That was cool. and they go to talk, and Rene's going to announce it, and he doesn't know the guy's name again. Another old goalie forgetting the name, Molendijk. He got it finally. And this guy, this is a good pickup, right? High risk, high reward type defenseman. But you know what? Nashville, known to be able to just really do well with these D-men. And just absolute, just machine, a factory of producing good defensemen. And it's worth the risk for a team like that. If you're going to take any team to have a risky defenseman may become either huge or not, that you would go with the Nashville Predators to make them into that high risk, that high reward player. So Nashville, good pickup by then, a guy that can jump up on the offense. Just overall, just good pickup there. Absolutely amazing. Second in the playoffs I think it's the OHL among defensemen, which is the same one that I think Olin Zellweger's in, or with Mintyuk, whatever. One of those two really good ones, he was right behind them. So good pickup there. And then we've got the best part, my favorite part of the entire draft, which was Otto Stenberg being drafted by the St. Louis Blues. Now, this guy, this is the whole. If I didn't watch anything else, if I got nothing out of this draft, at least I got to laugh at Otto Stenberg's interview. This guy, nothing flashy defenseman, just being out there, good puck carrier. Nothing flashy, what am I talking about? This guy's just a solid defenseman, and overall, just you gotta cheer for this guy. He goes up there, and she asks him, like, so, you're new to, do you know anything about St. Louis? And he's like, no. He doesn't know anything about St. Louis, and then she's asking him stuff about, Alexander Steen being Swedish, he's in charge of player development now, and he's like, yeah, I know Steen, and it was just really funny. His interview, his accent, absolutely hilarious. He probably didn't understand the questions very well, and just hilarious. You need to look, if you haven't seen it, look up the interview. Hilarious stuff right there. And then number 26, the San Jose Sharks get another guy who seemed to have dropped in Musty. And I'm kind of surprised because kind of like Gabriel Perreault, another guy I'm very surprised dropped down so far to 26, and now with Will Smith and Musty on the team, huge pickup there. Great playmaker, especially to play with Eklund and Will Smith. Those three guys right there, absolutely huge for the Sharks. I mean, playmaker out of this world. He makes plays happen. If he can make the pass, he'll make it. If he can't make it, he'll make it happen. And just absolute great pickup by the San Jose Sharks there. He's a gamer. All of the panelists seem to love him. And from the clips and the stuff I've looked up about him, Musty's a likable player, and he's going to fit perfectly with this team and what the Sharks are definitely trying to put together for the future. And finally, here we are, close to the end. At number 27, the Avalanche draft Callum Ritchie. And this guy, he led the Hlinka Gretzky Cup in points. And the reason why he dropped so low is because he's been playing with a dislocated shoulder the entire season of his draft year. So he dropped down because he had a lack of development, but he still played through it. He led the cup in points. So the guy still is performing very well. So to me, I think that the Avalanche got a huge steal here coming up late. And once again, the Avalanche, things just seem to always be good fortune for them because they get a good guy in Ritchie by not allowing that injury to be like, oh, he sucked this year. Nope. Like, he did great even through injury. Now he's going to be able to heal up in the offseason. And I think the Avalanche, they still got something brewing for years to come. So pick up great by the Avalanche. At number 28, we've got the Toronto Maple Leafs picking up Cowan. And this is a good pickup. They said that he compares to TJ Oshie, and from the clips they showed, oh my goodness gracious. This guy looks just like TJ Oshie on the ice. The way he moves, he's a skilled player, but he's a skilled, smart player, where he's like, it's more of a mental game to him. And the way he moved, he was positioned very well a lot, and he uses his skill. Like, he doesn't, like, do the crazy, like between the legs, windmill, shot, like, he's not doing stuff like that. He's more just like, he's just very smart. He's skilled and very smart, and that's kind of how I would describe TJ Oshie. He's got a good size to him. He's not huge, he's not small, but he's good size, and I think this is a good pickup by the Maple Leafs. To pair with him with Nyes in the future, good pickup. Good pickup there for the Leafs. Then we've got the Blues once again drafting another solid D-man, and the Blues are loading up on them. They were surprised with their first pick not being a defenseman, but then they really straightened up the last 2 picks being defensemen. And once again, this is a not flashy defenseman who's just one of those guys who's going to fit in the top 4 one day, and he's going to be the secondary to the main guy, right? And he, like kind of how I said, like Alec Martinez before, he's not going to be the star. He's not going to be the main spotlight ever on the ice, but he's going to be solid, and this is the type of defenseman you need to win championships with. So him, as well as Dvorsky and all the other guys that they're putting together in the future, are definitely going to start putting together a good Stanley Cup winning team eventually in the future, in my eyes. Then, number 30, the Hurricanes have reared their head, and they draft Nadeau. And from everything I've been reading and looking at, this guy, the one amazing thing is his absolutely incredible shot. This guy, if he has an opening, if he gets the puck on his stick, and he has enough time to shoot it, this thing's going in. All the clips they showed, this guy can find the back of the net at any angle. Absolute steal, especially for the Hurricanes. I think they definitely need a guy who's, for me, they need a pure goal scorer. And I know this guy's a few years out from making it into the NHL, but if he can make it in sooner than later and just be that goal scorer in like 2 years, where Sebastian Aho's not out of his prime yet and he's still playing well, and a lot of this team's still going to be together, if he can be ready in 2 years and be put together with Aho and just rip it in the back of the net, I think that'd be huge. Nadeau, look out for him. He's going to be a scary player. In my opinion, my view, a scary player one day. Then the Avalanche are back, if you couldn't tell by my amazing rendition of their logo. Gulyayev, the player that they chose at number 31, second to last. He was very happy when he was drafted. He was ecstatic. It was cool to see his family. Not a lot of the players, I gotta say, me being like roughly around the age of these guys, like if I was drafted somehow, in some way in this world, if I was in that building being drafted, how are these guys? I mean, I know they're getting drafted. They're in the building. They know that their name's going to be called, whether it's today or tomorrow, or I guess today, whatever. And, like, how are they not, like, ecstatic? You know, this is their dream coming true, and sure, there's so much, like, tension building up in you and nervousness about your name and what team and what city you're going to have to go play for eventually. Like, I get that, but at the same time, it's like some of these guys, especially Gulyayev, who probably thought his name would be tomorrow or something. Gulyayev, not him, he was excited, but a guy like, I don't care, Cowan here. Like, how do you not get named and like, yes, god damn it, yes, just bam, bam, yes, hug, you know, like, how are you not doing that, you know? None of that happened, and I just think that's kind of so surprising, and I know these guys know their name's going to be called, they're in the building, but still, it's like, the moment and the team is just kind of shocking to me, but Gulyayev, very skilled offensive defenseman. I think they're definitely going to need him with the cap crunching that they're going to have with guys like Bowen Byram in the future, and Girard being moved out probably to make some cap space for guys like Byram. However, that's all going to work out for them in the future, in a few years down the road, when guys like Girard might not be on the team anymore, guys like Makar will be there. He's still going to be in his prime, so he's going to be there fine. But maybe guys like Byram, I don't know, they're going to need an offensive defenseman eventually in the near future, and good pickup there. He looks very skilled, super offensive, good pickup by the Avalanche. And finally, last but not least, we've got the 32nd pick, which is by the Vegas Golden Knights, and that is for Edstrom. 6'3", good physical centerman. He's good in front of the net. He's one of those guys that I think Vegas definitely could use, standing in front with a guy like William Karlsson, sending it to the net, and I know he's a centerman, but just go along with it. Marchessault, feeding the net, getting a shot on there, rebound, he's the guy to tip it back in the back of the net. So I think very smart decision there by the Vegas Golden Knights. Good pickup. The Stanley Cup champions finish off the first round. And that is all I've got to say. So thank you for watching this. It hasn't taken me 2 hours to make this video. And it's been fun. The draft was fun to watch. No trades on the first day. A couple on the second day, but really nothing that interesting. And still names like Carlson, Shifley, all the big names still out there. And if you've made it to this point, give yourself a high five, because I don't know if I would have even watched my video this long. So thank you. If you're here, I'm not even going to bother you by asking you to subscribe, but if you have, you might as well, I guess. And until next time, Too Sweet, have an amazing day, and ta-ta for now.